Now, for the third day running, federal lawmakers in the Senate and House of Representatives are continuing the debate on the 2016 budget. There were criticisms and mixed reactions to the 2016 budget as lawmakers debated it. Some senators criticized the document for not adequately taking into account development projects in the Ministry of Women Affairs, which were meant to ameliorate the sufferings of women in the country. Our correspondent Linda Akibe reports.
It's the resumption of legislative proceedings in the National Assembly. Federal lawmakers in the Senate continue with the debate on the 2016 budget.
This particular budget is a negative change.
Unlike what played out during the first 2 days of the budget debate in the Senate, lawmakers from the ruling party come down hard on the budget. A federal lawmaker from the APC criticized the 2016 budget for not considering the welfare of women.
Looking at this budget of less than 4 billion, and they have capital is over almost 3 billion. So when you look at it, what is left to do any work? So just laying this case on behalf of the Nigerian women that this is not going to go well. It's as if they've been used during the campaign. We said this is the government of change, that our change mantra is supposed to change things across board. But what they've allotted to the Nigerian woman has not really done so well. It's not encouraging.
Some other lawmakers also fault the amount of funds appropriated to the Ministries of Agriculture and Solid Minerals as well as Works.
We've talked about diversification of the economy from the agri sector to the solid mineral. But yet, if you look at the 2015 budget, the allocation for agriculture and that of the 2016, it's almost the same. It's almost the same. And this is a sector which you want to use to diversify the economy and generate revenue.
In the debate in the House of Representatives, lawmakers were divided along party lines. Opposition lawmakers say the 2016 budget sent to the National Assembly is incomplete, but the Speaker made a clarification.
When you look at the documents before us, Mr. Speaker, vis-a-vis the budget that has been presented before us, the figures doesn't tally. We have a budget that tells the whole nation that the budget is 6.077 trillion. But when you add the figures, when you take the figures clearly as they are stated there, what you have is about 6.3 trillion.
Nobody is hiding anything. The budgets will come before us and there won't be any expenditure on the part of government outside what National Assembly will appropriate for it.
The budget debate is expected to continue on Wednesday in the Senate, but it has been concluded in the House of Representatives. However, the most important work would commence after the debate, and that is turning the budget estimates into law. It is expected that the imperfections noted in the budget by federal lawmakers would be addressed at the committee levels. From the National Assembly, Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
And now we have Linda live there in Abuja in the studio. Hi, Linda.
Hello, Ijoma. Thank you for joining us and welcome to Abuja. The president will leave Abuja tomorrow on a 3-day state visit to Kenya. While in the East African country, President Muhammadu Buhari will participate in the memorial service for Kenyan soldiers who were killed by Al-Shabaab in Somalia on January 15th. After the memorial service to be held in Eldoret, President Buhari would hold bilateral talks with his Kenyan counterpart and preside over a Kenya-Nigeria business forum in Nairobi. The president's entourage to Kenya would include the ministers of Foreign Affairs, Finance and Industry, Trade and Investment. From Kenya, President Buhari would leave for Addis Ababa on Friday for the 26th Summit of African Union Heads of State and Government, and also participate in the meeting of the African Union's Peace and Security Council before returning to Abuja on Sunday, January the 31st. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, has begun the inspection of ongoing projects across the country with a view to ensuring budgetary provision for them in the coming year. Mr. Fashola told journalists in Makurdi that he was inspecting the Ape power plant of the Transmission Company of Nigeria to ascertain its level of operations in the states.
Officials of the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing inspecting the AP plant of the Transmission Company of Nigeria in Benue State, in company of the Minister, Mr. Babatunde Fashola. Mr. Fashola tells journalists shortly after inspecting the control room of the power plant that the federal government will give priority attention to the projects in the 2017 budget.
It's something they're still also measuring. They're seeing downtimes in some areas, and we again have to look at that. They need additional transformer capacity to add to it. Again, we're going to assess whether we can accommodate that in 2016 or in 2017. So it's still a fact-finding assessment. Some of the things we've heard, we've read, we've been told in the ministry, we are coming out now to verify, because that is what makes whatever plans we then want to implement really credible.
The delegation also visits the state governor, Samuel Otom. Here, the Otukpo-Enugu Highway is one of the issues under discussion.
Our attention has also been brought to the you can't see that road on this side of the journey. When we are doing the southeast gate, we'll be approaching it from there.
I want to work closely with you because for us, your ministry is very key to our transformation in Benue State. And our objective for these 4 years revolves around your ministry.
The minister will also inspect the Makurdi-Lafia Federal Highway as the team leaves for Nasarawa to round off the trip to the north central states.
The ravaging avian influenza, also known as bird flu, which has struck Plateau State, appears to be on the rise. So far, 17 farms have been affected. This comes after 9 initial cases were reported last week. The Control Unit Department of the Ministry of Agriculture in Jos says about 58,000 birds have died as a result of the avian influenza. According to the desk officer of the project unit, Mr. Ayuba Haruna, 4 local government areas, including Jos East, Jos North, Jos South and Bassa, have been affected in the latest attack of the bird flu virus. In the meantime, monitoring teams are still on the field in search of affected farms as efforts are being made to curtail the spread. The federal government says it has concluded plans to set up 100 primary healthcare centers across the country within the next 3 months. This is according to the Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, who is on an assessment tour of healthcare facilities in war-torn communities in the country's northeast region. The minister notes the plan is to provide each local council area in the country with self-sufficient healthcare centers in line with global best practices.
Worried by the deplorable healthcare facilities in the northeast, particularly Adamawa, Borno and Yobe states, which have been badly affected by the Boko Haram insurgency, the Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, pays a visit to the states to assess the situation. At a meeting with the executive members of the Yobe state government, the Deputy State Governor Abubakar Aliyu puts the number of the internally displaced persons in the state at over 300,000.
I believe the visit the Honorable Minister and entourage will undertake to some of these camps and the federal health facilities for on-the-spot assessment is not only laudable but pave the way towards addressing the myriads of problems affecting the operations of these centers.
We will ensure that we partner with the state government to reposition secondary care, and we also support the Federal Medical Center in Damaturu so that we can really provide the care that people need.
The minister then pays a visit to some of the internally displaced camps and health centers in Damaturu, the state capital. There he provided some relief materials and gives more assurance that help is on the way. On the Lassa fever epidemic, here's what the minister had to say.
Lassa fever nationally is occasional winds that we have blowing across the country every year. And what this administration will do is that this will be the last wind that will blow across this nation.
Professor Adewale was also in Borno State, where he was received by Governor Kashim Shettima and members of his executive. The governor says health facilities at the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital are overstretched.
A tertiary healthcare facility overnight became a secondary healthcare facility. They were daily inundated, overwhelmed by avalanche of patients, of bomb victims that were being taken directly from bomb sites to the teaching hospital without a dime, not a dime of support from the federal authorities.
We want to adopt the same concept that the entire world has recommended, and that is putting in place one functional primary care unit in each ward in the country. And we envisage at the end of the exercise, there will be about 10,000 functional primary care units in this country in the next 2 years.
Now left is for the government to match words with action and deliver quickly.
And that's all from the capital city. Back to you, Ijoma.
Thanks a lot for that, Linda. Now, when the news at 10 returns, Ogun State Ministry of Health insists no Lassa fever virus outbreak in the state. I'll be joined by the Commissioner of Health, Dr. Babatunde Ikpai, to join us again.